Hey, Jeff Holden and S&P Capital. My name is Roston Smith, and today I'm going to be reviewing a playbook trade I took on Amazon. This was a VWAP reject trade I took on Monday the 27th, and I'll go ahead and get started. So disclaimer, I am not currently affiliated with S&P Capital in any way. I'm making these videos purely as sort of a video resume and documentation to send over to Jeff Holden and anyone else at S&P Capital who wants to watch. And I look forward to ideally working there one day. And so yeah, we'll see what the future holds. But currently I have no affiliation whatsoever. Just keep that in mind. All right, so the macro market perspective here on the SPY. So here's a situation on the ES and the Qs. We're in a multi-month downtrend on the daily chart. That's very clear. We're moving towards this $4,000 macro level for supply. We're sitting right now pre-market on the 39.15. It's important to note that pre-market here, ES hit a high of the 39.48 before slowly selling off with lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, down into the 39.15 towards the open. This is important because we've seen a high set as a clear high risk, and then we're seeing selling towards this supply of the 39.50 and the 4,000, which this comes into play significantly on beta. Beta names, and when I say beta, I'm talking about mainly the tech stocks with the beta over 1. So Apple, Amazon, Nvidia, AMD, Meta, all those. The beta names had all been making lower highs pre-market, with some bearishly diverging a little bit. Amazon was the one that I saw selling off faster, than a little bit faster pre-market than the others, which is why I was using this. One of the reasons why I was using this as a for my VWAP reject playbook trade. So we saw profit taking ahead of resistance pre-market. Essentially the same, a very similar technical chart here on the Qs. The main thing is downtrending, and we're seeing a significant bounce here in a downtrending market. A lot of people are scouting for the lower high. A lot of people are looking to sell into supply, and as we're seeing significant resistance approach on the ES, we're seeing that some profit taking in tech names. So it made the probability high. The number one thing though, that's the most important thing as to why I was looking bearish on this day, was we were seeing a situation when the ES and the Qs are gapping up. They were still green on the day, even though they were seeing lower highs towards the open, they were still green, but the VIX was also gapping up. So this is important. Normally what happens is when you see confidence rise, you see stocks rise, you're going to see the VIX drop because there's a lower expected fear, lower expected volatility in the market. In this situation, the VIX was gapping up with the ES gapping up towards that significant supply of 39.50 and 4,000. What this communicates is two things. Number one, people are profit taking because they're expecting a downside and a turnaround after this multi-day, 5 green day in a row on Amazon, rally, right? They're expecting a turnaround. And there's heightened fear in the market, heightened anticipation of volatility, right? So because of this gap up, that showed a lot about what the market, how they were feeling in the mood of the market that morning. So it seemed a high probability we were going to see some downside on Amazon and other beta names as well. So statistics on the day, green, of course, Amazon was green, it was up. We've got the market cap, you see the weekly range. I want to talk about the daily RSI, not extremely overextended, but when you're getting a significant downtrending bear market, you're usually not going to see that daily RSI get too overextended before it makes new, rolls back over towards new lows. Weekly RSI sitting there at 37. This is important to note because other beta names like Apple, AMD, Nvidia, etc., they had a lower weekly RSI. So Amazon has room to catch up. It has room to drop further. You got the float there. I want to talk about pre-market volume was about average there at 849. Average daily volume 92 mil. Previous day's range is 5.28 points. Also over the past 30 days is 5.3 points. So it's pretty safe to say on a normal day on Amazon, we're expecting about a 5-point move. There was a high potential that we could see more than 5 points if we got the continued downside I was looking for on Amazon below the low of days, which fortunately I was a day early, but that's the situation with this. So I use that. I take my first profit target just above the low a day, and second, I'm looking for that 5.3 daily range target. The most important thing, which is highlighted in red for Amazon, was the daily RSI was almost at 70. Okay, the 4-hour RSI was almost at 70. And so this was significantly higher than any other beta names I compared it to on the 4-hour, which made it my pick to look for that extension to the downside. It has plenty of room, right? So bigger picture on the stock. ES out of the gate, coupled with numerous short-dated bearish flow on Amazon out of the gates. So what we had was the ES open up and Amazon open up, and people started buying the short-dated puts for Friday on Amazon, and it sold off hard. ES sold off hard along with it. I was looking for weakness pre-market on both, which we saw, with the potential for 3,900 downside move. On a confirmation below 3,900, what we would see is Amazon likely head towards sub 13, right? So hit that 113 and drop lower, which is what I was looking for. And ES had plenty of room to the 38.35 and 38.50 on the next leg, which we did end up getting on the next day, but not this one. Technical was about 69 on the RSI, so 470 on the RSI. We saw a 5-day green streak on Amazon to the upside. If Amazon would have closed green on Monday, this would have been the 6th green day in a row. And with that kind of RSI and that extended streak to the upside, I like the probability of the short. Has plenty of meat on the bone for a pullback. Okay. So intraday fundamentals, beneath VWAP and pre-market lows. Amazon was beneath VWAP and pre-market lows. ES was also red and beneath VWAP. All the beta names were in the same spot. They were all red beneath VWAP. Prior resistance on the 115 on the daily chart on Amazon, so that helped with looking for that resistance. But the main thing was the 115.35 VWAP resistance. That 115.35 was resistance the day before on that Friday, and throughout the consolidation as it broke up to the close, and then today as we dropped below it, and VWAP kind of came into that 115.35. That was my focus level for the short. And we saw aggressive short-dated options flow into 10 a.m. This is important because as Amazon opened and was selling lower, we were seeing aggressive option sweeps into the ask on the way down, right? People were betting for this to continue lower, and I'll show you some of those. So I talked about my strategy. I want to see the ES and the Amazon essentially in sync, both below VWAP, both bounce up into VWAP and get that rejection as they can both move lower. And the ES VWAP was 39.17, which it jammed right up into it. It was pretty perfect. Initial risk is I'm looking for, if we get a break over VWAP on ES and Amazon, that's where I'm looking to stop. And once the trade on Amazon moved below to 114.30 and below in my favor, I dropped my stop from the 115.35 on VWAP to my break-even entry at 114.98, which I'll show you. I took half profit just above low a day, and my next half was to take on the average trading range, that 5.3 I was talking about. If we hit 113, that's where I was looking to take another half. All right, so here's a chart with trade management. So as you can see, we saw Amazon sell off from 118 all the way down here to 113.5, bounced up, moved towards VWAP. This is where I took my entry. It was at 114.98 is the correct entry. Just under $15 hold number, and my risk was set on 15.35 VWAP, which was about a 30-cent risk. And as you can see, we rolled over, came down here to lower days, broke the lower days. Just before we broke, I went ahead and sold half here at 13.70 or 113.72 as the bids came in over on the level 2. We just saw, when you get a lower day break like this, and you're approaching lower day, it's going to take a little bit off in case we soak. We did soak here strongly and then curl to the upside and then grind it back out where I stopped just about break even there once we got over VWAP on the 14.90. So I'm going to go through the tape. You're going to see the significant supply here moving into VWAP. It didn't even get, the 115 ask didn't even break. I mean, we held right there, was very strong on the offer, and then we rolled it right back down. And then as we move towards lower days, you can visibly see the momentum slow in the level 2. We weren't seeing people step up to get under that 113.50, right? They just weren't stepping up, and then the bid just ramped it back up. And also, too, one significant point is as we started this curl here, on the option side, we were seeing a lot of short-term call bets on the the 113s, 114s, 115s for Friday's expiration, which really helped fuel this rally right here. And then, I stopped half break even. So let me jump into that here. Here's the options flow. As you can see in the bottom left corner here at 9:37 a.m. is when it started coming in. You're seeing people buying significant money. These are all offers that are single leg options that they essentially took liquidity on the ask, right? So they just swiped everything. So this person spent 175 on the 113s, 113s, 114, 108s, 114s, 111s. Significant options bets to the downside from 9:37 a.m. and as you can see, as we headed lower and lower and lower. After 10:15 is when the calls started coming in a similar fashion, right? Not as much size, but in a similar fashion, which did play into the price action, okay? Before I jump to the tape, again, my entry was on that 114.98 when the 115 bid failed to hold. I'll show you that. I took half off into the 113.72, so I made over $1 on that with about a 30-cent risk, 35-cent risk. And second half stop break even on 114.98. And I talked about the call sweepers. So let me go ahead and jump over to that tape here for you. All right, I'm playing the tape, and I think I need to jump back a little bit here. Yeah, can jump back a good bit. Okay, I'm going to start it off right here. So at this point, the ES is moving up towards that 39.17 VWAP, and I am scouting an entry, looking for this to get to that 115.30. My order was initially on the 115.30 with that 115.35 risk, but what ended up happening was we saw the significant offers come in, which you'll see here in just a moment. And I ended up watching it below that 115. As soon as it got below 115 and just started looking really weak, and we're seeing those offers stack, I went ahead and took liquidity, and then we dumped from there, and it was a pretty great entry. So here, watch this. Watch how. Okay, I'm going to pause it right here. Watch how we got all this size here on the 115.46, all this size on the 115.66, and then look over here on the bid side. Nothing for a while. Nothing for a while. It's going to take another moment here. Speed it up. So I'm watching here, and then the bids get wiped out right there. Look at this offer there for 37 on the 115.10, and it's gone just like that. Now I'm going to speed it up a little bit here. It's going to take us just a second before we get to my entry. We're building here over 115, so I didn't take it yet. We were holding strong over 115. I really wanted closer to 130, closer to VWAP. And so right here, we're back on that 115, moving down. And we just poked below it there, but not quite yet. I'm keeping an eye. At this point, I'm watching my finger on the trigger in case we don't hit that 130. And so right into there, boom, got my market fill into the 114.98. And the tape is sped up 4x, by the way. But there was just no offers. No offers were able to, or no bids were able to get over that 114.27. It held very strong. Lower highs here on the past couple 3 minutes, and then we got that flush below 115. And now let's see if we can attempt to bounce back up to my 114.98 entry, which it doesn't end up doing. I'm gonna jump into 4x here to kind of move us a little bit faster. So at this point, I'm just in the green. I'm just holding right now. My stop was on that 115.35. Now I'm watching it. If it can get below 114.30, I move my stop down to break even, because then I have a comfortable amount of room to work with. I don't want to move it down to break even right away and then get wicked out. Like, see right there, yeah. So at this point, I move my stop break even, and this is on 4x speed again. I'm going to slow it down as soon as we get closer to the lows. Until then, we kind of channel lower. And move it back. All right, now we're approaching the lows. Let me slow it down. I really don't want this video to be too long for you guys. I know it's a lot. So here I'm gonna go to 2x. We're moving closer to the lows. This is when we should be most weak. At this time, the ES was at just above 3,900, and it was teasing breaking below 3,900. This is when things should be the most weak. And I was still seeing there was a fair amount of bid left in Amazon. It wasn't, it wouldn't just drop and then drop straight right away. There's always consistent buying coming in here as we approach this low a day. We speed it up a little bit more. Let me jump through it. It's going to be another second. At this point, I'm still holding for my 114.98 average. Here we go. This is where the good stuff is right here. All right, drop to 2x. Now keep an eye here on this bid, right? On this bid right there. We just started to approach that low a day, and immediately those bids flashed right up. People were looking to scout this bottom fish on this low a day. Let me speed it up again. Speed it up again here. All right, now we're going through it. I'm paying close attention here, looking for that move lower, okay? So now I'm watching to see how we head. So now as we get here, we're at the 113.55s, right? We've made the new low a day. This is when we should see the strongest ass set up. But look at the size. We don't see the size until we're getting up into the 85, right? This is where the size is. All the size is stacking up here on the bid, all right? And there we go. And then pause. They let it come right back up after we made that new low a day. So into here is when I went ahead and took off half size into that 113.72. And I will jump it forward a little bit here for you. And so as you can see, we that was the new low a day right there. No significant downside continuation. Now we're moving back to the upside. But I took half off, so I'm feeling pretty comfortable with the hold. At this point, we're just grinding back up, grinding all the way back up into VWAP. I ended up stopping out at the 114.90. That was just right below my break even, and we did continue over VWAP for a little bit. So that was my trade there, and I'll review it here. So improvement, stock selection. This was one of the weakest of the beta. I believe the other one was NVIDIA that morning, and it had great range, traded very technically. I wish I would have took the pre-market high setup instead of a VWAP reject, but it happened really quick out of the gate, and ES was looking extremely strong initially. I wanted to kind of wait a little bit and see, and I went with that VWAP reject. Entry, I could have felt better adding liquidity over 15 via limit versus taking sub 15. Yeah, I had my limit sitting at that 1530. I really wish I could have moved it down towards, in the 1520s as I saw it starting to kind of churn there, because I could have kept a great risk anyway. I was just really wanting that VWAP reject, so it was all right. I did get in it once I saw it break the ask and the offer on level 2, hold below that 115. I went ahead and got in there quick, and I'm glad I did, but I could have got a better entry adding liquidity. Management, I liked taking that. I moved the stop to break even when the price broke below that 114.30. I really liked moving that. It made it a very comfortable trade for me to hold. I had room, house money to work with, and I took half off into low a day when I saw that bid strength and we saw that break and it just came right back. I went ahead and took half off. And sizing, I would have essentially got if it would have broke the low a day and we saw a little bit of downside continuation, let's say 114.30, right? Bounce back up into that 114, 50s, 60s, right? Then take the add. Okay, to add it back because we saw this significant low, we moved lower, and then we're bouncing back up into prior supply, the prior low a day, and I can take that as an add. I wasn't going to add any along the way, and that's pretty much it for this recap. So yeah, that's all I got, guys. If you have any questions, you can have my contact information here on the screen. I'll get that pulled up here for you. And yeah, real excited. Thank you so much for watching. I know this was really long, and y'all have a great rest of your day.